If you're looking for some last-minute NFL player props for Friday night's Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Chargers matchup, this might be the video for you. My name's CJ Curry. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. It's free for you to do. No reason not to be subscribed. And drop a like on the video. I appreciate those as well. Yesterday's video did pretty well. First and foremost, shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles for going 1-0, beating our foes, the Dallas Cowboys. Secondly, thank you to CeeDee Lamb for helping us beat the Dallas Cowboys. And third, AJ Brown, where the hell were you? What was that? Can somebody out there explain to me? It looked like AJ Brown was just being used as a decoy. Maybe he wasn't 100%. Wasn't getting the separation, wasn't getting open, wasn't getting targets until the last few minutes of the fourth quarter. Anyway, that's the way it goes sometimes when you're gambling on these professional athletes. You just never know what to expect. But let's go ahead and slide into today's NFL picks. Of course, this is the Friday night game. You're going to get this for free over on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube for providing a free NFL game between two very good teams. Take a look at the PrizePicks board here. They put up another free square. We had the Dak Prescott free square last night. Well, they're doing another one. So shout out to PrizePicks. This is an awesome time to play on PrizePicks if you're not already. Promo code CJ Curry getting you $50 the first time you deposit and play your first $5 over on PrizePicks. But yeah, they got Lamar Jackson at 0.5 passing yards, meaning as soon as he throws for one passing yard against the Buffalo Bills on Sunday night, you're one step closer to winning your next entry over on PrizePicks. So definitely take advantage of this. Take advantage of that new user offer if you're not already playing on PrizePicks, or have a friend or family member that's been kind of sitting on the fence waiting to dip their toe in the water. This is a good time to dip your toe in the water if you're not a PrizePicks member yet. So what are we playing for tonight? Well, if you want to pair this Lamar Jackson free square with some picks, maybe you take some of these. Let's start with the first one here. Patrick Mahomes, quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. A lot of these picks are going to be Kansas City Chiefs centric. Didn't really find a whole lot that I liked here. Last minute looking around for the Chargers side of things. But let's start with Mahomes. The 3.5 rushing attempts, meaning he's got to cross the line of scrimmage, carry the ball at least 4 times for this to hit. This one looks like a good play for the over. I was checking out some different player prop projection models, checking out some historical data, Patrick Mahomes versus the Los Angeles Chargers, and this one seems to be checking out pretty well here at 3.5 rushing attempts. Remember, these are attempts. All he has to do is tuck the ball and run, and the Chargers usually do a pretty good job putting pressure on the opposing quarterbacks, which means Mahomes might be scrambling a little bit. He might be running for his life out there against this Los Angeles Chargers team. So let's take a look at some things here. We're going to start with the prop professor, my favorite player prop optimizer tool. I was on the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer. They pretty much sold out to another company, stopped innovating, stopped updating their product. And anyway, some of the founding members of the old Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer jumped ship, started their own thing. Prop Professor is the new move. If you want to try Prop Professor out, I've left a link for you down in the description of today's video. It's going to save you some moolah on your Prop Professor membership. So definitely take advantage of that. But take a look at some of these props here. We're going to go find Patrick Mahomes and his rushing attempts. Again, he's at 3.5, and it looks like the money's coming in on the over here for Patrick Mahomes. Got about a 52.5% chance. Now, this is based on the odds, which are based on the money that's coming in on these sports books on these given player props. So he's at 3.5 on most sports books. You can see he's a minus 124 betting favorite, minus 125, minus 130. So it's not like a super juiced up prop for the over, but you are seeing some money trickling in on the over here for Patty Mahomes. And if we're desperate, like we currently are, and we're looking for some last minute props, this might be one that you kind of roll the dice on. So now that we know that it is a plus EV play, which means positive expected value play, meaning the money is going in our favor, we're going with the grain, not against it. Let's take a look at some projections here. And there's a few different projection models that I like to use. One of the projection models that I like is this one, which is EV Analytics. It's powered by The Blitz by Derek Carty. You may have heard of the BAT, which is the MLB projection model that Derek Carty created, but this is the Blitz. This is his NFL product. The Blitz has Mahomes project for about 3.5 rushing attempts. So really, based on this projection, it can kind of break either way, right? He could go for 3 attempts. He could go for 4 attempts. Hopefully, he's going for 4 rushing attempts. So that's the first projection. Another projection that I found here, 2 guys that do a really, really good job, 2 of the sharpest minds in the NFL player prop space, fantasy football space, are Sean Kerner and Chris Raybon. And they've done a really good job here of putting together some Patrick Mahomes projections. As far as his rushing attempts go, this was one of the ones that had the most value on the board, which is, again, why I'm looking at taking this one. They have him projected for 3.9 rushing attempts, which is really close to 4, which is what we want. So these are the consensus projections. Basically, you combine Kerner with Raybon's projections, and you get the consensus projections. So consensus is 3.9, very close to that 4 number. Now, what about some other projections? Well, I've got a couple of other sites that we can reference. This one here is going to be Line Star. So we punch in Patrick Mahomes' name, and then when you take a look at his rushing attempts, they have him projected for about 4.2. Hopefully you can see that on the screen. I know it's kind of small, but 4.2 rushing attempts for Mahomes there. I also pulled up another projection from this site, which is the one that's formerly known as Numberfire. It's now known as FanDuel Research, but they've got Patrick Mahomes at 5.28 rushing attempts for about 26.7 rushing yards. So they like him to go over not just 3.5, but even 4.5 rushing attempts against this Los Angeles Chargers team down in Brazil. Now, I got one more projection. I know I'm throwing a lot of projections at you, but one more projection model, because every model, as you can see, is going to yield a slightly different result. And this one is going to be RotoWire. Now, RotoWire, when you pop open their player projection card here for Patrick Mahomes, they have him projected for 3.16 rushing attempts. So they're on the lower side, more conservative. They think 3 is the closer number rather than the 4. But one thing that I wanted to show you is that versus the Los Angeles Chargers, Patrick Mahomes, last time that he has faced them, actually the last 3 times that he has faced the Chargers, he has broken 4 or more rushing attempts against the Chargers in each of those 3 matchups. So he's 3 for his last 3 going up against LA when it comes to these rushing attempts. So there you have it. There's pick number 1. Patty Mahomes over 3.5 rushing attempts. So what are we playing outside of that? Well, we're sticking with the Kansas City Chiefs side of things. We're looking at Travis Kelce for at least 5 receptions. Now, this one could tie or push. He could land on exactly 5 receptions, and it wouldn't surprise me if he did. But obviously, no Rashee Rice. He's going to be suspended for the first 6 games to start the season. So, Travis Kelce might have a little bit higher target share. You're going to see guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, Xavier Worthy, a number of different players involved here. You've got Noah Gray, the backup tight end. And so there will be mouths to feed. There will be plenty of hands plenty of players with their hands out, I should say, looking to catch the ball. But Travis Kelce's done a great job historically against the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, he's newly engaged. He's probably over the moon, feeling some type of way about his boo thing, Miss Taylor Swift. And so hopefully he comes out and he has a good game down in Brazil. But let's take a look at the projections here for Travis Kelce. We're going to go back over here to the prop professor, the optimizer of choice here. And when we pull up Travis Kelce's name, you're going to see that the over at 5 receptions has about a 52.6% chance of him going over. Now, he's at 5.5 receptions on many sites. Some of these sites, you're going to see that he is a minus betting favorite to go over the 5.5 numbers. So if people are betting the over at 5.5 receptions, then we should definitely be thinking about taking the over at 5 receptions. Now, earlier this was at 4.5 receptions, and it still is on some books. Some places have him at 4.5. At 4.5, he's a minus 145 betting favorite to clear 4.5 receptions. So the likelihood or chances of him landing on at least 5 receptions are pretty high, implied by these odds. In other words, he's a big betting favorite to go over at 4.5 receptions. So could land on 5. Hopefully he has some upside in him where he can go for 6. Let's take a look at the various projections here for Travis Kelce. Most of them favorable. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be wasting your time talking about it. We'll start with RotoWire. Again, a little bit more conservative here. They have him at 4.76 receptions tonight, but 4.76 is close to 5. If we round up, that would be 5 receptions, which would result in a tie or push, but that just means that your PrizePicks entry reverts down from 6 to 5. let's say it's a 5 pick, it would go down to a 4 pick, etc. So it just goes down to the next smallest entry size. That doesn't mean you lose when you tie on PrizePicks, which is a good thing. Now against the Chargers, as I mentioned before, the last 3 times that he's faced them, he's had a ton of receptions in his head-to-heads versus LA. 12 in one game, he had 7 in the next, and then most recently, December the 8th of last season, 5 receptions, ended up tying, pushing. So hopefully Kelce's got a little bit more fuel left in the tank here and feeling revitalized, rejuvenated, motivated after my Eagles stomp the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll see how the Kansas City faithful respond tonight. But let's take a look at some other projections here for Travis Kelce before we move on to the next pick. For this projection, we're going to go over here to the EV analytics tools. We'll go over to the receiver receptions and then simply punch in Kelce's name. They have him projected for 5.5 receptions tonight, so more favorable number. Seems like 5 is well within reach for Kelce based on this projection. Again, we're going to go back over to Fantasy Labs and take a look at their projections for Travis Kelce. They had a pretty nice projection, slightly over 5 if I remember correctly. So we go over to the receptions, and he's at 5.1, so barely over 5, but over nonetheless. And then of course we'll take a look at Line Star once again. You just drop the name in there and you see he's projected for 5.4 receptions today. So their projection model's liking some Kelce overs as well. And then we'll wrap this up here, this Travis Kelce prop, and we'll take a look at his projection over on FanDuel Research. And they've got him at 5.14 receptions. So pretty much everyone's right around 5 to 5.5 receptions on Travis Kelce. So seems like a pretty safe play. Again, could tie, could push, but if he does, not the end of the world. One more Kansas City Chief prop. I'm looking at Kareem Hunt. His fantasy score was sitting at 5, and I was like, man, that just seems so darn low. Now, obviously, Isaiah Pacheco is healthy. He's going to be splitting some of that starting first team reps with Kareem Hunt. So it'll be Pacheco and it'll be Hunt. Hunt is definitely the more preferred option when it comes to pass catching and goal line duties. And all it would take really is one nice touchdown here for Kareem Hunt. So if Kansas City gets it down there inside the 5-yard line, maybe Kareem Hunt is called upon to break that goal line, or maybe he hauls in a couple of balls. Maybe he gets 20 yards on the ground rushing. You never know. It could add up pretty quickly, though. 5 fantasy score is a pretty easy attainable number here, especially when you consider you get a point per reception. So if he catches a couple of balls, he's already mostly halfway there. Anyway, let's take a look at some projections here. For this, we're going to go over to Roto Grinders, which also host the Blitz projection models. Punch it in Kareem Hunt's name over there. You get a projection of about 7.18 or 7.8 rather. So almost 8 fantasy score. 7.80. There you go. 7.80. So again, his number's 5. His projection, they have him at 7.8 over on the Blitz. Looking at another projection for Kareem Hunt. This one's going to be over on Fantasy Labs. This is Sean Kerner's projection model for him, 5.83. So a little sharper, a little closer to that 5 number that he's listed at over on PrizePicks. We could also take a peek at Line Star and see what their projections are looking like. You punch in Kareem Hunt's name. They've got him projected for about 5.6 fantasy points. Again, his line is just 5. So if Kansas City finds themselves in a pass-heavy sort of attack, maybe they get down early to the Los Angeles Chargers, maybe they go pass-first mode and just completely abandon the run game, I think Kareem Hunt will be more involved than Pacheco would be in a pass-heavy approach. But let me get you one last projection. This one's going to be RotoWire once again. And RotoWire's fantasy score is going to be quite favorable here for Kareem Hunt, 6.36. And you kind of take a peek at what he's done here over the last season. Went over his fantasy score in quite a few games, but again, Pacheco did miss a lot of time there. But even with Pacheco in, he still had a pretty high hit rate at just 5 fantasy score. And then here's what he did against the Chargers in his last 2 matchups. Hit in one game pretty easily at 10.5. Really close in this other one with just 3.9 fantasy score. Ended up going under, but one more catch, he probably would have cleared, no problemo. So that's pick number 3. Kareem Hunt at a modest 5 fantasy score. So what are we going to do with this last pick? Well, we're going to go over here to the Los Angeles Chargers side of things. And this one is going to be controversial. And I say controversial because It was at 5.5 rushing attempts earlier. Najee Harris. Obviously, they have Omarion Hampton, guy they just drafted, rookie. But it seems like Najee Harris's eye issue is kind of behind him. He expects to play tonight. He expects to have a role tonight. Now, is he going to start? I don't think so. I think Hampton's going to be the starter. There's been some conflicting information out there. Some people saying that Harris is expected to start. Some saying Hampton is going to be the starter. Nonetheless, there's going to be a package of plays, from what I'm reading, for Najee Harris today. And he may not be in completely 100% tip-top football shape just yet, but 6 rushing attempts. Like, he should be able to carry the ball at least 6 times, maybe even more if he has it going early. You just don't know. I don't know that they're going to, completely feed this rookie Hampton right out of the gate. They got this veteran, this big back, this bruiser, Najee Harris. We need about 3 carries per half of football here for him to tie. Maybe he gets 4 or more per half to clear for the over. But nonetheless, this one is projecting well. I wanted it at 5.5. I missed out on that. I'm okay with taking it at 6 because if you take a look at the Prop Professor site here, Najee Harris is still seeing a lot of movement, a lot of traction on his carries at 6. 53.2% chance based on the odds pulled from these sports books. At 5.5 carries, he's a -160 betting favorite to go over on a site like BetMGM. Anywhere else that has him at 5.5, he's pretty juiced up for the over as well. Hard Rock Bets got him at 5.5 still. Boom Fantasy, -179 betting favorite to clear 5.5. But most sites have moved on from the 5.5 and are now listing him at 6.5. And for good reason. If you take a look at some of these projection models, you're going to see that Najee Harris is projecting really well for the carries. Starting with this one, EV Analytics, they have a projection of 6.15 according to the Blitz NFL projection model. Again, if you want to try the Blitz out, links to everything down in the description. I've pretty much linked everything that could save you some money, signing up for these codes and stuff, whether it be an app to place a bet or some tools to help you win some bets. Links to everything down in the description. But he is projected to go over here 6 by a little bit, 6.15. You can see why I wanted it at 5.5 because that 6.15 projection would be a little bit more cushion for the pushing. Taking a look at another projection here. This one's going to be Line Star. Line Star's got Najee at, let's see, a total of 7.2 rushing attempts. So the line is at 6. The projection's 7.2. That one's looking pretty favorable. Let's go back over here and take a peek at the FanDuel research page. If we go to Najee Harris's name, got a projection of about 5.83 rushing attempts. So you round that up, he's right at 6. So it could be a tie or push situation, similar to Travis Kelce, but that projection's looking good as well. And then, of course, we're going to take another look at the projections on Fantasy Labs. Go rushing attempts. You see he's projected for about 7.3 according to the consensus projections. Again, that's Sean Kerner, Chris Raybon putting their projections together. And you average them out, he's at 7.3 rushing attempts. And the last projection over here on RotoWire has Najee Harris at 6 rushing attempts. Their projection for him is 6.42 tonight. So has him right there close to about 6.5 rushing attempts. So that is the pick number 4. So these are just some last minute options. Again, bet responsibly. This is only game 2 of week 1 of a very long NFL season. We're still trying to figure out what everybody's role's going to be on these teams. Are these offenses good? Are they bad? How are the defenses looking? So many questions that remain to be answered. So tread lightly. Flex these if you prefer. If you're living on the edge and you want to live more dangerously and try to win big, you can power them. But again, stick to a fairly conservative unit size, I would say, which is, for me, about a 1% unit based on how much you have in your bankroll. So if you have a $1,000 bankroll, 1% of that would be just a $10 wager per slip. So something to think about, maybe to keep yourself in check early on this NFL season. But I appreciate all the love and support. Guys, leave me a like on your way out. Comment below if you want to see more of these NFL videos, and I will catch you in the next one real soon. Peace.